Hi, welcome back guys, this is your friend, Baku Deku fanfic with another fiction. What if Deku was born in the wolf's forest? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Not all humans were created equally. Percent of the population had a power that they call quirks. Quirks usually take years to develop. The other percent isn't so fortunate. Percent of the population were born with no quirks, so the quirks never developed. Izuku was one of the fortunate people that were born with a quirk. Izuku's case was different though. He didn't have to wait for it to develop, he was born with it. RD Puff. In the quiet, chilled night, a baby was being born. The parents only wanted a female and would not accept a male. When they had finally found out what gender the baby was, it was born and was a male. They wrapped the baby up and left him at the edge of the forest. The baby was a little boy with green hair with black highlights. He had little wolf ears and a wolf tail. The baby was crying for someone to take care of him. There was a grumpy hobo-looking man whom was attracted to the cries. When he arrived, he could tell the baby was just born. The man lifted the baby up and headed in the direction of the prestigious school called UA. Aizawa's Puff. I had heard the cries of a baby near the forest. Why would a baby be near the forest unless it was abandoned? I rushed over to check it out. I was too tired for any of this. When I tracked down the source of the cries, I found a baby with green wolf ears. I could tell he was just born today also. I picked him up and headed my way back to UA to see what Nezu would say. When I got there, I went to the infirmary to give recovery girl the baby. She had worry in her eyes as I handed her the baby. I told her I was going to go get Nezu. I left and headed to the principal's office. When I got to the door, I knocked and heard a fan come in. I walked in and saw All Might sitting in a chair across from Nezu and drinking tea. I then looked Nezu and said seriously, "Nezu, I need to show you something, if you may please follow. All Might, if you want to come to, you may." I then left the room and heard shuffling behind me. The door closed as I walked farther down the hall. I got to the infirmary and saw recovery girl had taken care of the baby. The baby was sleeping peacefully on an infant's hospital bed. Nezu and All Might had entered the room expecting to see a bad bloody mess. When they seen the baby, they looked worried at first, then changed their expressions to serious. They looked towards me and said, "What are we going to do with him, and whom is going to take care of them?" They said it simultaneously, so it was hard to understand. I looked at them, and we needed to think about it overnight. Time skip brought to you by. Don't question it, I felt like it. We had figured out whom would take care of Izuku, the name we choose for the baby, and that was supposed to be me. Major time skip years, sorry for so many, brought to you by. I just got to get to some plot of the story. Izuku's Puff. I was training my body and my quirk to do my best in the UA entrance exams. I had been training hard since being years of age. I have more than one quirk also. I had been born with my quirk, which was named Wolf. Wolf caused me to be born with wolf ears and a tail. My fur color on my ears and tail were mint green with black highlights. I also have the ability to change my form into a wolf. Exactly like this, no changes. I also had the quirk All Might has. One for all. I was the successor of All Might. I had a couple hours till the exam. There was always one thing that confused me about my wolf form. My eyes became a crystal blue like ice. I decided to climb the nearest tree and took a nap. When I woke up, I checked the time. I was going to be late if I didn't run. I shifted into my wolf form and took off. By the time I made it, there was a guy with spiky blonde hair staring at me. I was about to shift back and walk in when the spiky-haired guy pet me. WTF, why did he pet me? I just sat there when a girl with brown hair also came up to me and pet me. Also, WTF is with people and petting me. I stood up after they were done petting me and walked through the door meant for my wolf form. I had to scan my paw first, which surprised them when it allowed my entrance. Once inside, I shifted into my human form and started to walk to the exam areas. While I was walking, I spotted these two again. The one with the spiky hair looked at me, then just turned around. The girl didn't seem to notice my glance, so I just kept walking. I made it to an explication area. I sat down and was about to fall asleep, but felt eyes on me. I opened my eyes and saw the blonde kid again. He looked away and I got up and made my way to the center of the room. I walked to a door meant for my wolf form and walked through it after confirmation. I walked up to the top and sat by Uncle Present Mike. He started talking to everyone about the exam. I looked at Uncle Present Mike with a bored look my wolf face could give. While explaining the exam, still he looked at me and smiled. He petted me as he talked. Once he stopped, he asked if there were any questions. A guy with blue hair shot his hand up. He then asked about the 4 villain, the 0-pointer to be exact. Uncle Present Mike explained that. Then the guy asked another question. He asked why I was up there with Uncle Present Mike and whom I was. He answered the question as I was another exam taker, but had special privileges, or whatever he meant. After that, we went to our assigned areas and got ready for the exam. I sat on the ledge next to the door waiting for the go. Uncle Present Mike yelled go, and I took off as fast as I could. I didn't want to use one for all just yet, so I took them out with the help of my wolf quirk. After getting points, I slowed down and just made sure no one was hurt. I saw a girl that looked like she hurt her ankle surrounded by villains. I destroyed the villains and helped her to the first aid area. When I got back to the center of the exam area, exam takers were running and the ground was shaking. I heard cries for help, so I ran as fast as I could and looked for the source. I spotted a girl that was stuck under debris. It was the girl who had petted me earlier. I pushed the debris off her with the help of one for all. I got her away safely and ran back at the 0-pointer. Exam takers were yelling for me to stop. I was halfway to the 0-pointer when I changed to my regular form. I charged up one for all full coolal and jumped. Once even with its faceplates, I punched as hard as I could without breaking bones. Once I landed, I heard Uncle Present Mike say, "Time's up." I was tired because I wasn't planning on using one for all. I walked out of the exam area and was about to go to Dad's classroom when I was stopped by 3 people. One was Mr. Question Boy, one was Spiky Boy, and one was the girl I helped even after petting me. I was in my wolf form, so it was awkward. I backed up a couple steps and changed into my human form. I looked at them and asked, "Do you need something?" At first they were startled, but then Spiky Hair looked at me and said, "What is your quirk, 'cause it looks like you have 2. I had to keep my second quirk quiet, so I just dodged the question. Is that even possible to have 2 quirks without a bad reaction within the body? He obvious that he didn't expect that. I looked at the other 2, and the other guy looked at me and said, "You are good at fighting, and how come you were up on the tower with Present Mike?" "Oh, you mean Uncle Present Mike?" It was a slip of the tongue, and I slapped my hands against my face as to face palm. I looked at the girl and she looked at me. I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I looked at him. "Okay, I'll stop," she said. "Thank you for helping me, even when it could have costed you your life." I said, "Thank you, but if you'll excuse me, I need to meet up with Eraserhead." I walked away tired and sleepy from today's events. I presented to you chapter of Alpha Wolf. I tried, it was just something I thought might be interesting, so yay. The Dog Master. Izuku's Pav. I had awoken from my lovely nap. I had been in my dad's desk drawer. How was because I can be any size wolf I want. I managed to open the drawer and climb out. I landed on the floor with a thump. I didn't see Dad anywhere. I shifted my size to a bigger version. I stretched and sniffed. I had his scent, but it was faint. I started to follow the smell. It led me to the teacher's lounge. I walked in after turning the knob in my mouth. I looked up to see surprised-looking heroes. It was Dad, Uncle Present Mike, Uncle All Might, and that bitch of a hero Endeavor. The only unsurprised one was Dad. I walked up and around the surprised ones to walk to Dad. I sat down and looked at the still shocked. "What the fuck do you want?" I didn't do anything yet. I yelled at them. Yes, I yelled at them in human language. I have the ability to. Uncle All Might and Uncle Present Mike. Become less shocked. But Endeavor looked even more confused and shocked. I jumped on the couch and shifted to my normal form. What the fuck? Shut the fuck up my damn ears, I screamed back at Endeavor. He was about to scream something back till I looked at him pissed. My fur bristled and my teeth were showing. Scream again, I dare you. You'll get your ass kicked. I spat out venom dripping with every word I spoke. Young Aizawa, I think it's time you discussed why you're here. Uncle All Might said. I came to see Dad. I was gonna see if we had any plans, but I can see you're busy besides that bitch. I spoke pointing to Endeavor. I usually never swear unless he is here. I can't take him. I turned around as I scoffed. I'm gonna go out, I'll not be back till he is gone. I gestured towards Endeavor as I left. I heard a not so faint due to my ears all right before I shut the door completely. I walked down the halls of UAE till I got to the door. I took off running into the woods behind UAE. Time skip brought to you by me eating double stuffed Oreos, drinking a Heath cappuccino, and listening to music while writing this. I had got to the part of the city where it is not so popular. I was walking around the street when I heard explosions, but they were faint. I took off in the direction and found 3 boys bullying another. He was about to punch the boy when I dashed in front and blocked it. Animal abuse. He nailed me right in the side. I landed harshly but got up and stood in front of the boy again. I looked at the 3 bullying him and growled, hair bristled, teeth shone. I then noticed whom the ringleader was. He was the spiky blonde that petted me yesterday. He was surprised to see me, I guessed. He smirked and started to have his buddies close in on my side as I had a tree and scared kid behind me. Once they got in position, they attacked. I dodged and grabbed the kid. I pulled him out of the trap and motioned him to go. He ran off as I felt something grab my tail. I whipped around and bit whomever grabbed it. It was one of his buddies, and he backed off. I felt my neck be grabbed, then shoved to the ground. I struggled as I was held there. I didn't want to use one for all. He yelled something at his last buddy before throwing money at him. I was too busy fighting against the hand holding me down when I felt weight on my back. I was about to use one for all when I remembered I can change sizes. I shifted to my puppy size and tried to escape his hand. It only made things worse because he now held me in the air. I had enough, but before I could do anything I was blindfolded. I had my paws all tied and couldn't move. I shifted into my base form and used one for all to escape. I then moved with one for all and was gone with a blur. I had gotten back to UA and was tired. I shifted to my puppy wolf form to go to sleep once I was to Dad's room. I hadn't even noticed the blood on my side from the punch with explosions. I was going to Dad's room when Bitchface and Uncle All Might walked down the hall talking. I was walking by when Bitchface grabbed my scruff. He looked at my side and threw me at Uncle All Might. I landed in his arms on my wound and yelped. I hadn't realized how reckless I was. Uncle All Might fixed the position I was in so he wouldn't hit my wound. I growled and tried biting Uncle All Might when I got really tired. I started to close my eyes as some person I hate was petting my fur. I murmured a light growl and I gave into blackness. I had woken up wrapped in bandages on my side. I was in my bed in Dad's drawer. I remember that the bitch was petting my fur. I got up as my side struck me with pain to stop me. Well, I didn't and crawled out of the drawer carefully. I made my form become a larger version that still was wrapped in bandages. I started walking to the teacher's lounge to talk to Dad. When I got to the lounge, I did as I always do and opened the door with my mouth. I walked in and looked for my father. He was in his sleeping bag like always. I walked up to him and sat in front of his face. I knew he was awake, just not actually acknowledging me. I apparently was very quiet until my dad and got the attention of other teachers in the room. I looked at him, then shifted to my human form, bandages still around my torso. What are we doing today? I asked, not acknowledging the hero telling me to get more rest behind me. We are getting prepared for tomorrow because it's the first day of UAE school year. I rolled my eyes at his response and mumbled. Preparing my ass, I walked away, but was stopped by All Might. Young Aizawa, you should get some rest. I turned around and said I was fine. I was about to walk out but noticed that bitch Endeavor. I turned around, teeth bared, dew bristled. Don't ever touch me again when I am not awake all the way, or at all for that matter. I snarled at him, venom with every word I spoke. With that I left and walked to where I protected that kid from that blonde spiky boy. When I had arrived, I walked to a bench when I heard someone yell, "Hey, you're that bastard from yesterday." I turned to the source of the yell and instantly my fur bristled. It was the spiky blonde from yesterday. He had his goons again. What, looking to bully more kids again? I asked. I then remembered that he was at the UAE entrance exam. Bullying isn't what heroes are supposed to be doing. I added quickly as my ear twitched. That must have sparked off something in his brain. I looked as his eyes widened at the memory. You are the wolf from the entrance exam, he yelled back at me. Yup, I am, and I have to saw for someone wanting to become a hero. You're not doing the right things. I snapped back through clenched teeth. How the fuck would you know? He yelled at me. I turned away with no cares and replied, You'll find out tomorrow. I walked away towards UAE. Time skip brought to you by Sugar the hamster. Sugar is my personal pet. She was originally bought for my birthday. I had really bad depression at the time, so getting her helped. She then became my personal pet and my best friend that helps with my depression. I woke up to my alarm and got ready for school. I had to get up early than any other students because Dad had to be there hours early. When we got to the school, I walked to Dad's classroom because it was my homeroom. I had scored the best on the exam. Wonder why I walked in and saw a note. Dad probably wrote this last night, knowing I'd be in here before him. It had name tags and a seating chart next to it. I read the note and it said, Dear Izuku. I didn't get to put the name tags out yet, so put them out for me. After that you can do whatever you want till school starts. Dad. Welp, Dad was never one to ask. I put the name tags out and walked to Dad's desk. I shifted into my baby wolf form and laid down inside the drawer. I pushed it closed with my nose, using the top to help. I snuggled into my bed and fell asleep. After my 2-hour nap, I woke up to the door opening and heard steps. The room went quiet, but the door opened again. I listened to everything that was happening in the room, including the yelling blonde dick. I heard Dad tell at everyone to get into their seats. I waited for Dad to tell me also, and as if on cue he did. Izuku, that means you also. I started to push the drawer open as I heard people asking who. I jumped out and everyone say my form. I shifted to my human form and walked to my seat. Dad told everyone to grab a gym uniform and meet him outside with them on after he introduced himself as Mr. Aizawa. I was the first one out. Once everyone was out, Dad explained what we were doing. Bakugo, what was the farthest you threw a softball in middle school? Meters, Idik, how far? Now throw it with your quirk. And so he did. My dad turned and showed us the score meters. We all took turns till it was me. I grabbed the ball and just threw it with no quirks. I didn't even look how far it went when I had to duck. Dad tried to grab me with his capture item. Don't, you're gonna ruffle my fur. Then actually try, Izuku. Fine, I said with a sigh. I grabbed a new ball and charged up one for all full cowl. I threw the ball as everyone had to grab something so they were not blown away. I looked at Dad and said, better. Yes. He showed the score as infinity, just like the brown-haired girl that was petting my fur at the entrance exam. We did the rest of the tests with me getting yelled at to try every time. Dad showed the score with me at the top again. It shocked everyone. Not because the ranking, but my last name. Aizawa Izuku. Todoroki Shouto. Bakugo Katsuki. That was the top 3. Before anyone could say anything to me, I started heading back to the locker rooms. I changed back into my uniform and headed back to homeroom. I sat in my desk waiting for everyone. First in was spiky blonde Dick, and he looked pissed. He started yelling, "You're the fucking teacher's kid, you." Shut the fuck up my damn ears. I snapped, not because of what he said, it was how he said it. I looked pissed as fuck, and with my teeth shone and fur bristled. Dad was at the door with the other students behind him. "Don't piss Izuku off. I don't want to have to deal with pissed off again. This loud mouth reminds me of the bitch Endeavor." "Aizawa, watch what you say." The Ida kid yelled at me, or at least I think it was Ida. "I can say whatever I want about him," he yelled in my ears also. "Izuku, shut up and sit, class is starting." Sorry it took forever, I typed it on my phone. But here you go. The first day of class in UAE has ended for our young heroes finally. Izuku's paw. I had to frequently put my headphones on right before the bell had rung. I didn't the first time the bell rang and my ears hurt badly. I was going to leave them on, but was told to take them off. I started falling asleep when the final B had rung for the end of the day. Yesterday was okay, I guess. Time skip to the day of the USG. Brought to you by Wolf Pups. I woke up in the midst of movement. I was in my pup form, but couldn't see. I was planning on wiggling when we stopped. Once again we were moving. I just stayed still as I heard a door open. Some voice pitched in. "Mr. Aizawa, where is Aizawa-kun?" The person holding me pitched back. Izuku wouldn't walk up and looked a little sick, so I carried him to school because he is not allowed alone at home. The first voice said back. "So is he in your arms under the blanket?" Dad said back. "Yes, so we need to be quiet while he sleeps. Please don't bother him, or there will be consequences. This is a study hall, so stay quiet." I felt my side be laid on, I think was the front table. I heard whispers and heard the thump of Dad hitting the floor. I did feel a little sick, and could tell Dad wanted some sleep before the USG. I went to stretch out to get in a more comfortable position and hit something. I stopped and retracted my limbs. I started pushing the blanket that was around me off, but was failing miserably. I felt hands pick me up as I responded with a growl. I started to struggle to get loose from the blankets and whomever held me. I spun very quickly with the blankets as they untangled and hit the floor hard on my back. I hit the floor and yelped. I was dizzy and confused on the floor. I looked around to see concerned faces of my classmates besides one. Katsuki. He was holding back his laughter. The person whom held me before picked me up and started petting me on the back to help the non-existent pain. I was so startled I couldn't register what else was happening. I felt myself be stolen from one set of arms to another. "Izuku, are you all right?" Dad asked. I looked up at him confused. I tried to leave his arms, but he wouldn't let me go. "You didn't answer my question," he exclaimed louder. I struggled more to get out of his hands. "Everyone grab your hero suits and meet at the bus." Katsuki, hand me Izuku's costume. Katsuki grumbled but complied and handed him the case. He held me in one hand and the case in the other, making his way out to the bus. Once to the bus, he sat with me on his lap. I tried to get off his lap, but he wouldn't let me. I growled, but he ignored me. I was about to bite, but his scarf wrapped around my muzzle and closed it. I growled and thrashed, but to no avail. As everyone got on the bus, some laughed at my situation. Katsuki laughed the most because I started to whimper for Dad to let go. When we got to the USG, he finally let me go and made me get dressed in my hero costume, with ears and a tail also. Once I was done getting ready, I made my way to the rest of the students. Once I got there, 13 was there and explaining the training exercise that I have done a million times. In the middle of the explanation, a portal had warped in. Students started asking if the training had started. No, these guys are real villains and are willing to kill us all. They are most likely here to kill All Might. I'm guessing that they got our schedule from when the news invaded. I responded very quickly before Dad could even utter one word. Smart kid dusted the situation down within seconds, and not wrong, I'll give you that. The villain with all the hands on him spoke. 13 protect the students, and Izuku follow my lead like in training. Roger that. We sprang into action. We covered each other's back like we trained so hard for. We fought till most the villains that were there were defeated. I knew there was more, I could smell them also. Most of the students got scattered to the different zones. We fought till everything went wrong. The beast they called a Namu grabbed Dad by the arm after. Dad tried confronting the Hansi villain. I tried to help Dad, but the villain's dad had left, jumped me, and made it hard. By the time I had defeated them, the beast had broke Dad's arm and pinned him to the ground after slamming his face down. And in an Anuo, I screamed in desperation to get him off Dad. I ran at the Namu and attacked. He let go of Dad to attack me. In a split second, I tried to run around the Namu and move Dad out of the combat zone. The Namu slammed his arm into my side and sent me flying. In the air, I shifted to my wolf form and landed harshly. I had pain all over my right side, but I was too focused to care. I sprinted at the Namu with determination. I went to attack him when he grabbed my side. I launched my jaw to his arm and bit through it. I launched towards his back once. I hit the floor. I sunk my teeth into the beast and started ripping on the chunk I had. Through all the fighting, I heard the hand villain yell, "Namu, bring me him alive." I didn't register the sentence as I fought the Namu to protect my father. I was grabbed by the Namu and slammed into the ground. I tried to get up, but he pinned me down. I gathered all my might and, going over my limit, pushed the Namu off me and got to Dad. I grabbed Dad and moved him to 2 of my classmates. I launched back at the Namu and went back to fighting to save some time for Uncle All Might to get here. I got 3 attacks in before Namu punched my right side and slammed me into the ground. I knew I couldn't fight anymore. I was too tired and exhausted to fight anymore. I had gotten Dad to safety and didn't care about mine at the moment. Namu picked up my broken and exhausted body and brought me over to the hand villain. He placed me down in front of him. I tried to get up and attack somehow, but collapsed halfway through. The villain crouched down to my level and smirked. "Well, we have a broken little hero now, don't we?" he said with his smirk hidden most the way by the hand on his face. I growled, and when he brought his hand near my face, I tried to bite it. He stood up and kicked me in the stomach. I yelped as blood started running out of my muzzle. He reached for my face again, but this time I didn't try and bite his head, still trying to get my breath back. "Good boy," he said as he pat my head. I growled and tried to move but couldn't. "Let's kill a few kids and take him to ruin All Might's pride. Pick him up and let's go kill some kids," he said, which made me want to move, and I tried. I moved and bit the Namu to get him to release me. He didn't and only tightened his grip. Just when the hand villain got close enough to my muzzle, I bit his arm. I held my grip as he yelled at me until Namu snapped my front forelimb. I yelped but got punched by the hand villain. "Behave, you stupid mutt," he yelled at me in the face. I couldn't hold up my wolf form and became my human form. I was slumped over the Namu's shoulder as the hand villain's smirk returned once more, seeing my exhausted state. He walked over to one of my classmates by the shipwreck zone. I couldn't tell whom it was because my vision was blurry, and I was dizzy due to blood loss. As he was about to touch them, the doors bursted open to the voice of All Might saying, "No need to fear. Why? Because I am here." He rushed and grabbed Dad and the 2 students with him, and the 2 students in front of the hand villain. In the process, he smacked the hand on the villain's face. Once he dropped them at the top carefully, he confronted the Namu and hand villain. I knew he would try and grab me, but the Namu's grip was too tight. "Namu, give me the boy," the hand villain commanded the Namu. The Namu took me off his shoulder, now covered in my blood. He placed me halfway in the hand villain's arms and halfway on the ground, which hurt a lot. Namu, kill All Might and kill him quickly before the boy dies of blood loss," he stated as he moved me into a bride-like cradle while he crouched. He stood up from the crouch and looked at my miserable state. My vision blurred more, and I felt extremely lightheaded. I forced myself to not pass out in a villain's arms. I moved with the only thought to get to Dad. The villain's grip got stronger the more I tried. His grip tightened till I whimpered, and he released a little bit. I heard the sound of fighting to the left of me. "Deku," I heard from the right of me. "Let Deku go," I heard again. "Sorry, but Wolf Boy here can be useful to us, so no," he replied while moving me onto his shoulder. Once he had me in a position where he could fight, he launched at the source of the voices. I pushed on his shoulders and back to try and get free. I pushed with enough force to get away from him. I hit the floor and tried rushing to my feet. I was halfway up when I fell back on the ground. My vision blurred to the point of where I was only able to make out fuzzy figures. "God damn it, kid, just stay down and stop moving," I heard the villain yell. He was a distance away when a hand snakes around my waist and pull me up. "Kirishima, take Aizawa back with the others, and make sure he gets immediate medical attention when Recovery Girl arrives, but until then keep him alive. You brats aren't going anywhere with him." I heard them bicker as I was handed off to whom I am assuming is Kirishima. "Go Kirishima while we keep him distracted." I felt an arm go underneath my knees and lift me up. I couldn't find a reason to move. My vision had blood, so everything was a blurry red. I had relaxed from my stiff form. "Just a little longer. Aizawa, just stay with me, okay?" I just barely nodded as he continued on. We got to the top of the stairs when everyone up there whom was either watching All Might fight or watching people attend to Dad turned and looked at us. "Deku Aizawa," they yelled, which caused me to flinch and whimper. "Guys, quiet down, he has sensitive ears," Kirishima said, and right after that, All Might yelled as loud as possible, plus ultra. A loud smashing sound from the roof came, and I flinched and jumped so bad that I almost fell out of Kirishima's arms. Kirishima gently laid me on the ground and had tried to stop some of the bleeding. After about minutes, the doors slammed open, and the reinforcements had arrived. They rushed in front of all of us, and Snipe started shooting his gun. Kirishima covered my ears to help, and I was thankful for that. After the fight was over, Dad, Uncle All Might, and I were rushed to the hospital or the infirmary. I woke up covered in pain, mainly on my right side and my left arm. I tried to get up, but was gently pushed back down. I looked at whom pushed me down, and it was the Uda kid. "Ida, what are you doing here?" I asked, looking at him. "I came to see how you were doing. Don't sit up yet, your back was injured badly from the beast thing." I looked at my shirtless torso and was covered in bandages. I looked up at Ida and noticed some breathing in the room that wasn't ours. I looked around and noticed someone in the shadows. "Whom is in the shadows over there?" I stated, which Ida looked to where I was looking. Todoroki walked out and sat in the chair besides Ida. I was finally released from the hospital. My dad came with Uncle All Might to pick me up from the hospital and headed to UA for class. I don't want to go to class when I just get out of the hospital, so I'll be sleeping in the drawer. When we get there, I went into my wolf form. I walked with my 3 legs while hobbling on the casted one. Dad tried picking me up, but I managed to dodge. Uncle All Might tried to, but I dodged again and moved as fast as I could to the classroom. They started to chase after me, but I was still faster and lost them. My question is, how do you miss a full-grown green wolf in the hallways? I made it to the classroom and pushed the door open with my nose. Everyone looked at me as I walked in and shifted to my pup form. They started yelling and asking questions, but I ignored them and walked to the drawer. I opened the drawer, hopped in, and closed it. After a minute, the door slammed open, followed with stomping towards me. The drawer was flung open as I jumped out, quickly landing on one paw. As I moved to run, Todoroki picked me up. "You're not going anywhere after that stunt you pulled in the hallway, Izuku," Dad said as I pouted. I shifted to my grown wolf form so Todoroki had to place me down. I growled lightly at Dad. I hobbled to my seat. I shifted to human and sat in it. I laid my left arm that was in a full arm cast on my desk. I sighed and laid my head down also. I was falling asleep when I felt eyes from all angles look at me. I opened one eye and spoke. Take a picture, it lasts longer, also stop staring, I'm trying to sleep. I then mumbled. At least was trying to. Bakugo started laughing from my last comment because he was in the desk in front of me. I closed my eye and tried sleeping again. I heard multiple clicks. I looked up to see people with cameras and phones out. They were Dad, Todoroki, Bakugo hidden, but he still saw it, Denki, and Uncle All Might. Was Uncle All Might there the whole time? Probably. What are you guys doing? I yelled, blushing. Just what you suggested. Dad replied like it was nothing. That's not what I meant. I said, blushing harder. Stop it. I yelled with my face redder than a tomato. I slammed my head on the desk and covered my head with my left arm. We need to start class. I mumbled quietly. Well, your battle is far from over. Dad said. What are their villains? Someone said, panicked. No, you guys have the UA Sports Festival. While Dad was explaining, I fell asleep. I woke up from shaking. I looked at whom was shaking me and saw it was Todoroki. Hey, it is time for lunch and you missed classes, he said bluntly. Why didn't anyone wake me up then? I asked. He just stifled a laugh and pulled me up on my feet out of the desk. He started walking to the lunch. I followed Todoroki to lunch. We both were in line for a lunch when a blonde walked up to us. Well, if it isn't students from Class A. You all are so high and mighty because you survived a villain attack. I bet none of the students fought and risked their lives for the other students. It was probably only the teachers who fought. The blonde said, smirking wildly. A low growl was sounded from my direction. I was about to snap at the blonde when I was interrupted, but Todoroki. Our class fought against the villains because they had been spread out by the villains. Izuku here protected an injured pro hero who was also the teacher. He was close to death fighting to save the teacher. The villains thought he could be useful, so they tried capturing him with tons of villains. When the teacher got injured, he fought the villains off himself and attacked the strongest one. He got the teacher to safety, but fought the villain again to save more time for the reinforcements to arrive. The strongest villain broke his arm, as you can see. The villain also caused other major injuries, but they were healed by Recovery Girl. I think you owe Izuku a huge apology. Not only did the blonde hear that, but the whole lunchroom. Why? Because the blonde was yelling, causing the room to go quiet, and everyone listened to what Todoroki replied with. The blonde was shocked, to say the least. I slapped my forehead with my palm and just left the lunchroom. I wasn't hungry anymore, so I just headed back to the classroom. Time skip till after the sports festival. Everything was about the same. I was laying in the back corner of the classroom, under a random jacket I found. I heard footsteps coming towards me, then felt myself leave the ground. I don't think they know I'm in their jacket. The jacket and I was placed on a desk, so I removed the jacket off my head. I looked up to see Kirishima looking down at me. Aizawa, why were you in my jacket? He asked, gaining the attention of others around us. I jumped off the desk and walked out the door. I wasn't in the mood for class today, to be honest. I was walking to leave the school, but saw my father walking down the hall. I hid behind a random trash can in the hallway. Once he walked by, I took off for the doors of UA. Once outside of the UA gates, I just started to wander around the city. I was the size of a medium dog and walked into an alley. I spotted a man with many knives talking to the Hansi villain. I hid behind a trash bag listening to them talk. He was asking the man to join them. The man denied, and then there was some yelling. The Hansi villain left, so I decided to get a closer look. When I got closer, he looked at me. I probably looked terrified. Doesn't help that you're green, Izuku. I took a step back because the man was walking toward me. I turned to run only to find a sword in my face. One thing I know about this man is he's fast. I backed up the way I turned from. He stepped forward, and we repeated the process till I hit the wall. I looked frantically to find an exit, but none was there due to tons of trash. For a hero in training, I'm pathetic. I only fight when training and people are in need, otherwise I have no fighting instinct. When it comes to my safety, I can't do jack shit. I was scared as the man drew closer. Why did I have to leave you? Because you weren't in the mood for class. I had to think fast, so when he got close enough, I tried to bite him. Welp, now I'm pinned to the cement with this guy on top of me. He was about to do something when a portal opened, and the handsy villain came out again. I started thrashing under the man's grip after see one of the reasons why I haven't slept in months. He looked up at what made me flip so much and looked pissed. He tied a cloth around my neck. Then he got off me and looked at the villain. Why are you back, and why is he terrified of you? The man asked the villain. I just came to get my dog, and he is scared because he knows he's going to get punished. The villain lied right through his teeth. I changed to human and tried untying the cloth around my neck. Yay, he so looks like a dog to me, the man said sarcastically while taking a quick glance at me. He yanked the cloth around my neck to stop me. Just give me the boy and I'll leave, the villain said. The man tied me to a pole or pipe and got on the offensive side. Then fight me for him, he replied, charging. The two started fighting as I was getting frustrated with the knot he used. I grabbed my phone and called Dad. He picked up immediately. He was asking questions left and right. I stopped him saying I needed help while using my other hand to try and break the cloth. I explained my situation to him, but when I was about to tell him about the man, my phone had a knife through it. My terrified green eyes meet red ones. I looked where the fight once was only to see blood. Care to explain why that villain is after you? He asked, untying the end on the pipe. I shook my head no as he pulled me along. WWWHYDD did you tita take me MA, and where are why you taking a me? I stuttered out while trying to keep up. Those villains are after you and went as far as ask me to get you for them, he said, turning down another alley. I gathered all my courage I could. So why do you still have me following you? I asked, almost running. You're safer with me than on your own, he replied, moving quickly. I shifted to my adult wolf form and stood my ground. Don't make me drag you, kid, he warned. I growled and snarled. God damn it, kid, it's for your own good, he yelled, pulling. I made myself lean back to prevent moving. He stepped towards me, making me fall back. Good going, Izuku, so much for preventing movement. I moved to get up when he pinned me again. I felt something cold against my neck. Shift now, or we can simply end their fight to get you, he said, pressing the knife closer to my neck. I became human as he cut my arm and licked the blood on the knife. I couldn't move as he grabbed my sides and picked me up, placing me on his shoulder. He took off running, making my head bounce around. While it was bouncing, I saw Dad running after us. Dad, I yelled, trying to put my arm out. The man looked back and saw Dad pursuing us. Shit, just had to be the son of a hero, he mumbled, running faster. Dad ran as fast as he could, catching up to us. I looked terrified at him whenever my head bounced, so I could. Uncle All Might could be heard in front of the man, which surprised him. Fuck, are you so important that All Might came to save you? He said. Dad lunged at us and caught my arm as the man launched forward. He pulled me off the man's shoulder and caused me to start choking. Let him go, hero killer. Izuku has never done anything wrong, nor is he a hero, Dad said to stop my choking. Second thing I know about the man is he's the hero killer. Hero killer jerked me away from Dad, causing his hand to slip off my arm. He picked me up again, but wrapped the remainder of the cloth around my wrists because I was starting to gain movement back. They were now restrained behind my back. Hero killer took off for the building wall, but Uncle All Might stopped him. Give us young Aizawa now, hero killer, All Might said. I was tired from all the events and conflicts going on. My eyes started to as movement started again. I passed out. Hero killers pop. All Might and Eraserhead had shown up. The boy is Eraserhead's son. The villains also wants this boy, and he looks like he hasn't slept in weeks. He passed out and became dead weight. I had All Might in front of me and Eraserhead behind. All Might blocked the building wall off, so I took a different approach. I ran to where All Might was standing, but closer to the wall. All Might got in front of me, so I turned and ran up the building wall. When I reached the top was when Eraserhead tried to use his quirk. Did he even want his son back? How long am I going to have to kidnap you for? I asked him, knowing that he won't reply. The fear probably caused him to pass out, but he looked like he needed the sleep. I lost All Might and Eraserhead as I ran the 10 minutes to my temporary base. I need the heroes to take out the League of Villains before I give them the boy back. I might have to bring Tahasu with me. When I got to the base, I placed the boy I only knew as Izuku down on the best bed I could in the building. I used anti-quirk cuffs to restrain his hands above his head. I restrained his feet with another pair. I then went to go get food. Izuku's puff. I woke up in an uncomfortable position. I was groggy that I went to rub my eyes, but my arms were stuck. I tried to sit up, but didn't get too far again. It took me a few minutes till I looked around and saw an abandoned room. I looked down at my legs to see they were cuffed to a broken down bed. I looked up to see the same things with my arms. Welp shit. I was hoping that Dad and Uncle All Might got me away from the hero killer. I sat there recalling the events from yesterday when I heard someone else. The hero killer came in with bags and wore casual clothes. He saw me awake, as he placed the bags on an okay table. Izuku is gonna get raped. You should get more rest. You look like you need it. We aren't leaving for another day or two, he said, preparing things on the table. I can't SL sleep. I stuttered, remembering the nightmares I get. The hero killer came over carrying water and some pills. He put the pills next to my mouth, but I turned my head away. God damn it, we are not doing this again. Just take the pills, he said, grabbing my face. I tried thrashing as he tightened his grip, causing my mouth to open. He shoved the pills in my mouth and held it shut. Saliva built in my mouth, causing me to swallow the pills. Hero killer held the glass of water to my face. I smelt the water and it smelt off. I tried to turn away, but he wasn't having it this time. Grabbing my face with more force and forced the water into my mouth. The force of the water made me swallow it so I didn't choke. Once I drank an amount he was okay with, he let my face go and I pulled back. He looked at me before heading the way he came, placing the water on the table. I started to feel drowsy and looked at the hero killer as he came back. He said sleep well before turning to leave. When I realized he was trying to make me fall asleep, I panicked. I started thrashing with pure fear in my eyes. I was trying to fight whatever he gave me. He turned around to see my panic and eyes wide with fear. Hey, kid, what's wrong? What's with the panic? He asked, unsure what to do. No. I can't fall asleep. It'll come back again, I yelled frantically. He ran to his villain clothes and grabbed keys. Says Puff. Fuck, Alpha is in trouble, I yelled at the pack as we ran. He is still in the city that he lives in, a pack member yelled. Izuku's Puff. He came back over and unlocked the cuffs. He caught my falling form and pulled me into a hug hesitantly. Tears were now falling down my face as I tried to push away. He tried to calm me down by rubbing my back and petting my hair. My ears and tail clearly showed it wasn't helping at all. I pushed him hard enough off me that he hit his head off the floor. I used that moment to run and jump out the window. I rolled and distributed the impact by rolling. I ran toward the street and looked back to see the hero killer jumping out the window. I ran down the street while changing my form to run faster. Hero killer started to gain as what he gave me started to hit me hard. I had to focus on staying awake and running. I had to become human again to run more before I pass out. I was starting to wobble in my run. I was tackled down to the ground and pinned by the hero killer. He held me down as I struggled. Izuku, just fall asleep. You need it, even if you are scared, just let yourself rest. I am taking you back to base, and when you wake up you will behave. He yelled at me while picking me up. I was losing the fight with sleep. I passed out terrified of what was going to come. The events flashed before my eyes. Dad and I went to attack the villains exactly the same. We were fighting like before, but I got overpowered and restrained. They pulled me next to the Hansi villain and forced me to watch the Namu injure my father. The Namu dragged my father to us, and the Hansi villain smirked at me. The Hansi villain grabbed Dad's face, and he started to decay. I watched as my father decayed in front of me again and again. Every time it scared and terrified me to my core. Then I watched as all my classmates then decay in front of me. Hero killers puff. On the way back to the base, Izuku was starting to flinch very badly to the point I almost dropped him. He must be having a nightmare. Does he get them every time he sleeps? Must be why he refused to sleep so much. Before I entered the broken down building, Izuku started thrashing worse than the flinching. I placed him down on the broken bed. I didn't add the cuffs, but went to grab a shock collar. I walked back to bed and went to put it down when I heard growls. What the fuck do you think you're doing to Deku? You're the reason these furballs dragged me all across town. Give me Deku now, you fucking extra. A pissed off blonde said behind a black wolf with blue eyes. What the fuck do you think you're doing to Deku? You're the reason these furballs dragged me all across town. Give me Deku now, you fucking extra. A pissed off blonde said behind a black wolf with blue eyes. The wolf pressed forward and growled when I moved closer to Izuku. More wolves came out from behind the blonde. I had no chance against wild wolves. The black wolf barked, and the rest charged at me. I backed away from Izuku as they stood around him. Do we have to fight you, or do you surrender? The blonde asked. I won't surrender, but if you want Izuku, take him, just keep the League of Villains away from him. They have something bad planned for him, I said before walking to the other side of the room. The blonde picked Izuku up and carried him out of the building with the wolves surrounding them. Izuku's puff. I woke up to see a UA uniform. I pushed on whoever's shoulder I was on. Deku, just stay still. I heard Katsuki. Bakugo, I yelled. I looked up at him with a smile. My tail was wagging a mile per minute. I was so happy to be away from the hero killer. Deku, stop your fucking tail, Katsuki said, getting hit in the face. Then put me down, I said. Something made Katsuki stop. What, do you listen to this nerd or something? Katsuki asked someone. Bakugo, can you please just put me down? I asked again. He finally placed me down and something brushed my leg. I turned and was face to face with a black wolf that jumped up on my chest. Hi, Alpha, the wolf barked. Hi. Wait, Alpha? I asked the wolf with my head tilted in confusion. Yes, you're Alpha. We are here to protect you, she barked happily. Wait, how? I asked. I'll explain more when we get you home, she chirped. Deku, what the fuck? Who are you talking to? Katsuki asked. Oh, I was talking to her, I said happily. I'm Luna. Alpha, she said. We should head to UA, I said, walking with my new pack. Some puppies walked by my legs, so I picked the two up. The parents pressed closer to me, and all the pack stayed on guard as we entered the UA gates. I held the door open after putting the pups down and let them in. Let's head to class so I can catch up on what I missed, I said, and Katsuki scowled. You damn nerd, that's what you care about. What about informing the heroes you're safe and okay? These damn mutts dragged me to save your ass, he grumbled at me. We walked to the door and I held it open again. Once all the pack entered, Bakugo and I entered. Chaos erupted in the classroom as everyone saw the wolves. Sit, I yelled, and every wolf followed my command. Hello everyone. How are you? I asked. Even more chaos broke out with them seeing me back. What is all the commotion going on? I was then tackled in a hug. I heard growling from the wolves. I put my hand up and they stopped. I hugged my dad back as he refused to let go. I felt his scarf wrap around my wrist as Uncle All Might bursted into the room. He picked us up off the floor and hugged us. Okay, Uncle, you too. Let go. Class needs to start. I said, trying to push them apart. I gave up on trying to make paragraphs, I'll be honest. What about the wolves in the room? They need to leave Izuku. Dad said. All the wolves got up and growled, standing around me. Yay, they're not gonna leave their alpha, I said, laughing. Great. My dad said sarcastically. Alpha, Luna yelled before tackling me. Fuck, I said on the way down. Laughter broke out throughout the class. Okay, well, we should start class. I wheezed out before pushing Luna off me. Guys, can you move to the side of the room, please? I asked the pack. I went to walk to my seat, but Dad's scarf won't let go. Dad, let me go, class needs to start. I whined. Nope, you are sitting at my desk today, he said. Class, today we will be talking about internships. Oh, this, well, I've heard it 100 times. I beckoned one of the puppies toward me. I picked him up and started petting him as he messed with my tie. Dad glanced over multiple times and would smile. I looked at the board for internship ratings, and I wasn't even up there. Must be because I went over my limit for one for all. The bell rang and most my class left for lunch. Come on, Izuku, we are eating in the teacher's lounge, Dad said, starting to pull me along. My pack followed us. Even though I was getting dragged, I managed to hold the door open for them. Dad, slow down, I said, because the pack started tripping me. We were passing a purple-haired male when one of the puppies tripped me completely. Looks like this purple head grabbed my waist and prevented my fall. Looks like this. The purple head grabbed my waist and prevented my fall. Thank you, I said quickly. Alpha, are you okay? Luna asked, walking up to us. Yes, I'm fine, I said. Who are you talking to? The purple head asked. I was talking to Luna here. I can talk to her and hear her cause my quirk. I never got your name. Shinso Hitoshi, he replied. Aizawa Izuku, nice to meet you. Thank you for helping me. Wish I could talk more, but I have to go, I replied, getting up. Dad just watched the whole thing. We continued our walk till we got to the door. Holding it open, I let the pack in, hearing a few asking each other if they were going to get lunch too. Dad, how big is my lunch? I asked Dad. Enough for about people, he replied. Why does he always try to make me eat a ton? I'm not really even hungry. We sat down and the pack situated themselves in pack order. I divided my lunch equally into portions for the pack. I feed the puppies first, then Luna. We continued till all them ate. Teachers started coming in and were shocked. For some reason, Endeavor walked in. My fur already started to bristle. My pack seemed to notice, and theirs did the same. Not only do I hate you, but my pack hates you, I said without even looking. I would watch your mouth, brat, he said, making my head snap in his direction. You're calling me a brat? Ha, that's funny. You know, just because you're the number hero doesn't mean I can't kick your ass. You won't be number for long if I have any say. You act all high and mighty because of your rank. I don't see All Might do that. You're only a hero for fame and fortune. Unlike you, All Might and many others are heroes to help people. You're also a very annoying, loud person. You don't care for others, just yourself. Now I ask the main question, and be careful answer it, because I might get a little excited for a fight. Who are you calling a brat? I spoke clearly, venom spilling with every word, sending shivers down all the heroes' backs. I stood up as my tail whipped in an irritated way. I'll be heading to class. And bitch, don't forget about watching what you say around me unless you want to get beat, I said, holding the door open as the pack left. Hope you don't remember so I can kick your ass. I could hear laughing that was stifled before closing the door. We sat in the class for a while till class was about to start. The Endeavor bitch opened the door and I snarled. Coming back to say sorry bitch or two. Start a fight you'll lose? I asked, pissed he was even here. Aizawa, that is no language for your superiors. Ida yelled. One watched the yelling too. That man is far from my superior. But he never answered my question. I said, looking at him. Why you? I heard him mutter. Why you what, huh? I have enhanced hearing. My ears should give that away. So is that a you want to start a fight? I asked, slowly getting up. My pack followed, but I motioned them to sit and stay. He just glared at me. Well, fight it is then. I jumped over Bakugo and ran at Endeavor. I was then wrapped in cloth. Endeavor looked surprised at my sudden action. Dad pulled me to him and picked me up. Hey, put me down, I snarled. Dad wrapped his entire scarf around me before handing me to Endeavor. Let me go, you bitch, I yelled. Todoroki looked confused and pissed about the situation. My pack didn't know what to do, and my dad just stared at me using his quirk. WTF, Dad, you know how much I hate this bitch, I said. Endeavor, take Izuku to the principal for me. He needs to talk to Izuku about internships. If you start a fight, Endeavor, I will remove my scarf from Izuku. I slowly woke up with pain covering my body. My back was hurting the most because I was laying on it. My arm felt heavier than compared to the other. My head and eyes were wrapped in bandages. Why are my eyes covered? I don't remember anything happening to them. I heard movement shifting to my left. Who's there? I asked quickly. It's okay, Izuku. It's just me. I heard from a voice I could never forget. It was Dad, but I could hear breathing in the corner of the room. I noticed weight by my non-injured arm. Dad, is Luna next to me? I asked Dad, ignoring whoever was in the corner. Yeah, she wouldn't leave your side till you were stable, he informed me. Dad, why are my eyes covered, and why does one hurt? Nothing was wrong when I was brought to the hospital, I asked, confusion laced in my voice. Izuku, during a checkup your doctor was going to inject some painkillers into your body when your body started to flatline in seizure. The doctor missed and stabbed your eye, and you may have permanent blindness, my father said sadly as my tail pushed in between my legs. My ears flattened, and it was probably very noticeable because of the bandages. Luna must have felt my sadness and woke up. She nudged my hand and tried to soothe my sadness. Alpha, you'll be fine. You're okay, you're lucky, and your eye will be fine. Luna tried, but I just laid there silently. Try getting sleep, son, you really need it, my dad said. I tried to drift off to sleep, but nothing was helping. My body had pain everywhere, so sleep evaded me. I heard a slight knock at the door. SSSSHHH, Izuku is trying to sleep, my father told whoever was at the door. No, it's fine, I can't sleep with all the pain, so what's the point on being quiet if I can't get sleep anyway? I stated, twitching slightly. Young Izuku, how are you feeling? The person asked, obviously being Uncle All Might. Fine, I guess, I replied, monotoned. Young Izuku, I have also brought your classmates, Uncle All Might said, walking in my direction. More footsteps could be heard throughout the room. Aizawa, how are you feel? Do you want us to get you anything? Someone asked. I'm fine, I just need someone to take care of Luna and the pack. Dad, when can I leave? I know my eye is damaged, but I'll manage. I don't want to sit here anymore, I said, pushing myself up on one arm to sit up. No, you are not leaving anytime soon. You must remain here in bed, a deep voice I never heard before said before hands gently pushed back down. I felt my ears flatten against my head again when hearing this. Mr. Aizawa, you should not allow your son to move as he was badly injured. Just sitting up can pull the stitches in his side. Whatever caused those wounds went very deep, and tearing the stitches will just cause the wounds to become worse. It will take a couple of weeks till you leave, and if I need to, I will put you on constant watch. If your visitors try and remove you or let you sit up without being cleared, they will not be allowed here. That means you'd have no visitors and will stay here. The voice said, causing my ears to press stronger against my head. Doctor, he didn't know. You didn't need to almost yell at him. A feminine voice said towards the voice now dubbed stern doctor. I'm just making sure that he understands his situation. He may be a hero in training, but looking at his past records, I know he doesn't like to stay here and heal. Stern doctor said to whoever talked back. My ears are moved to point to where the stern doctor was walking. The stern doctor had walked next to the bed and messed with things. We should all let Mr. Aizawa rest, so everyone out, please. The stern doctor stated, shooing everyone out. He got everyone out but walked back to the bed where I was laying. Don't worry, Mr. Aizawa, you'll get the sleep you can't get unless I help. He whispered in my ear before grabbing something next to him. Wait, Wami ffff. I was cut off by something being pushed onto my face. I tried yelling and pushing his hand off as my tail went in between my legs and wrapped around a leg. He started to laugh quietly as my ears flattened. Don't worry, I stabbed your eye on purpose. You will be Tamura's pet. No matter how hard you fight, you won't get away. He whispered into my ear, then laughed again as my struggles became weak. I managed to get his hand off, then screamed as loud as I can. He shoved his hand back on, and I drifted between conscious. Someone bursted through the door and got the doctor off me. Something that sounded like mist came from my right. A hand grabbed my injured arm and pulled. I yelped and heard someone yell, Izuku, no Izuku. Then I felt myself go unconscious. RD Puff. Aizawa fought off the doctor that was holding a rag to Izuku's face as Izuku struggled weakly. When Aizawa looked over and saw his son being pulled roughly through a portal that the League of Villains uses. When Izuku was pulled, he yelped, then lost conscious. Izuku was pulled onto a metal table in a laboratory. Izuku let out a quiet groan as he was moved onto the table. Izuku woke up from the pain of hitting the table. Izuku's puff. Sorry for being so rough, but someone wouldn't listen, and just come with me, the first I wouldn't have to be. A voice said while someone snaked something around my neck. You better listen, or you will taught a very important lesson. You also will be getting a muzzle. They said while strapping the muzzle to my face. Hey Kurogiri, where is that doctor? He yelled loudly. PPL, please don't hurt me. I didn't do anything wrong. A new voice stuttered, then I heard a gasp. What did you do to this poor child? Oh my, please get out so I may work with my patient. Make sure it is quiet or my quirk may hurt the child. The doctor said, changing his demeanor completely. Better watch your mouth or you will get hurt. We will get a different doctor, so fix that mutt before I kill you. The first voice said before leaving the room and locking the door. Poor child, are you feeling woozy at all? Why did they do this if they want you so bad? All right, let's get you fixed up now. Shall we? The doctor said before pushing his head against mine. Slowly the pain went away as the doctor undid the bandages around my eyes. I saw a tall man with dark brown, almost black hair, brown eyes, and glasses. How you feeling? You were pretty badly injured and could have died if your wounds weren't taken care of, the doctor said. I looked at the doctor like he was dumb. I have a muzzle on, I can't speak. The door opened and the hand villain came through and grabbed my hair. Let's go, mutt, you need to sleep, you have a test tomorrow, he said, tossing me into a cage and attaching a chain to my neck. The cage was surrounded by those gnomes from the Usjin lab tubes. Now be good and sleep unless you want to be punished, he said, looking at what I think was a collar on my neck. You will also be getting a new quirk so you're able to survive as my pet, he said, petting my head roughly and injecting something into my bloodstream. Tamura got up and shut the lights off before leaving me and my thoughts in the dark. I tried to lay down, but the floor was too uncomfortable for a human, so I became my medium-sized wolf form and laid down. I feel asleep, But it wasn't for long as a hand started to pet me gently. I opened my eyes to see a man with burnt patches stapled onto his face. "Morning, sweetie," he said nicely. He may not look nice, but he has treated me nicely compared to Tamura. "I feel sorry for you having to be Tamura's pet. You seem so sweet and calm, even if you're in this situation, little hero," he said, rubbing my ears nicely, making my head tilt into his hands. "Maybe if you bore him or not listen to him during training, I can convince him to give you to me. I don't know your name, so I'm going to call you little hero. I'm going to get you out of here and to the heroes soon, okay?" The man asked as confusion made its way across my face. Isn't he a villain? Why would he steal me from his boss? "My name is Dabai. Tamura is going to be testing who you listen to in a room, so try to only listen to me. I'm going to do hand signs to make it better," Dabai said before he left. A few minutes later, Tamura entered the room. He was surprised to see me in my wolf form. "Well, that is the first step to being a good pet," he said while walking over to me. He unclipped the chain and opened the door. He grabbed my collar and dragged me out of the cage. Dragging me to a different room, he started itching his neck with his free hand. There were multiple people in the room as Tamura dragged me to the center. I sat in the center and looked around. I saw Dabai in the corner as Tamura started to call me. I looked but didn't listen. This same process happened till we got to Dabai. Dabai stopped leaning on the wall and just pointed downward. I got up and walked to Dabai and sat. "Manny," Tamura yelled. Dabai nicely petted me for listen. "What the hell? Why did my dog listen to you and not me? Izuku, come here now. You will not listen to him. You are my pet. I worked hard to get you," Tamura yelled while stomping towards us. I got scared and pushed up against Dabai, shivering. "Tamura, you're scaring him. If you're so mad, then get another dog and let me take care of him." "No. He isn't just a dog, he is one of those little heroes in training. He isn't going to listen to you." "Well, from the looks of it, he is listening to me without me saying anything. He just doesn't listen to anyone because they want him to," Dabai replied snarkily. Tamura grabbed my scruff and yanked me towards him. I let myself growl at him on accident. Dabai grabbed my collar and tried to pry Tamura's hand off. "Let him go, Tamura. You don't know how to take care of a pet, much less a hero in training as a pet," Dabai yelled, and I snarled at Tamura still. "I am in charge. You listen to me and the other higher-ups. Let go now before I kill you," Tamura yelled. "Tamura, let the poor dog go. He obviously will listen to Dabai before you," a voice said through speakers, and Tamura instantly let go. I went and hid behind Dabai. "I'm sorry, sensei. I was just mad about Dabai taking who was supposed to be my pet," Tamura said while putting his head down. "I know, but at least the League of Villains still have him in our procession. Just let Dabai take care of him," the voice said. Then Dabai lead me out of the room. We enter a bedroom and Dabai went towards the bed. He laid down and pointed next to him. I really wanted to leave, so I lied down and waited till he fall asleep. He slowly stroked my fur, almost making me fall asleep. No, I must stay awake. When Dabai fell asleep, I became my pup size and wiggled away. I got to the door and changed to my human form, still in the hospital gown and boxers. When I went to grab the knob, my collar was pulled on and I fell back. I came face to face with a sleepy and angry Dabai. "Just because I'm sleeping doesn't mean leave," he said, his face getting close to mine. "I'll get you out of here, just wait till morning," Dabai whispered in my ear, then lifting me up. He carried me to the bed and put me on it. He laid behind me and wrapped his arm around my torso. I drifted off to sleep as Dabai pulled me closer to him. I was woken up by Dabai shaking me awake. "Hey, we need to go now before they wake up. It's about 2 in the morning," he said. "Are we going to take that doctor with us?" I asked drowsily. "No, they dumped him off the second he healed you," he said, grabbing a bag. "You should become a wolf in case someone is awake," he said. I nodded and shifted. We walked to a bar-like area, then to the exit. "Where are you off to so late?" a voice said behind us. "Going for some fresh air. We can't sleep," Dabai said quickly. "Fine, but be quick, we need to test the full extent of his quirks," the voice said before leaving the room. Dabai opened and held the door for me as I walked out. "We need to hurry before they catch on," Dabai said, almost breaking into a run. We got to the gates of Yua after a couple hours of walking. I hit a button for staff in case we ever left our cards somewhere. We waited for about 5 minutes till someone finally came. It was that bitch Endeavor. "What are you doing here?" Endeavor bitch said with venom in his mouth. "I came to bring him back. It's not like I ever did any crimes wrong before," Dabai said while looking at me. Dabai has never done any crimes before, he just ran away from Endeavor bitch. "You shouldn't be here, you failure," Endeavor said while grabbing me by my neck. I turned and bit his arm hard. "You mutt. You're going to regret that," Endeavor bitch said as I stood in front of Dabai protectively. Endeavor bitch shot out fire, but not at me, but at Dabai by aiming higher than my height. I shifted to human and took the hit. I bit my tongue to not scream. I patted the fire out, ignoring the pain from burns, and ran at Endeavor bitch. We went punch to punch before activating One for All. The chaos attracted other teachers. I stood in front of Dabai as my father ran out to me. Endeavor bitch took my moment of looking at my father to punch me as hard as H could. I flew far back and into Dabai, making his fly a few feet back also. "That's what you get, mutt, for trying to take me on," Endeavor bitch yelled. "You did a damn cheap shot," Dabai yelled. I went to get up, but Dabai stopped me. "This is exactly why I left. This is why I don't consider you my father. I should have never left Shoto with you," Dabai said while picking me up gently. "I'm surprised you're even allowed to have him in your custody after what you did to Mom. After what you did to me. And now what you to another hero's son who was protecting someone from you," Dabai said, walking into school grounds. My father looked at him pissed. "How dare you touch my son? First you cause your child to run away, then attack my son. Don't ever touch them again or I will kill you," my father yelled madly at the shocked Endeavor bitch. "He isn't even your real son, you just found him when he was a baby," Endeavor bitch yelled, and I froze. "What?" I asked quietly. My mind had tons of thoughts going through it. "He is still my son and always will be," my father yelled. I never asked, but I also never knew I was adopted. Dabai placed me on the ground gently and walked towards Endeavor bitch. Dabai punched Endeavor bitch across the face with more force than Endeavor bitch did me. Dabai walked back and picked me up to take me to the infirmary. I don't know why Tamira forced a healing quirk into me. On the way there, I feel asleep leaning against Dabai's chest peacefully. Confusion was in their eyes at Aizawa's explanation. The class left to hero training. A blond boy walked to us before I growled. He put his hand out and I sniffed it. He seems trustworthy, so I let him by, but was on guard the whole. He carefully got up and placed Izuku halfway in his lap. He pet his hair as Izuku started to wake up. His eyes fluttered open sleepily. "Hey, how you feeling?" the blonde asked. "Bakugo," Izuku asked. Bakugo nodded and whispered yay, and Izuku smiled slightly. "Bakugo, I was so scared. So scared. It hurt so much," Izuku whispered. Bakugo muttered, "It's all right now, I'm here." He listened as Izuku explained how he felt. I could sense how Bakugo was feeling, and he had a brotherly vibe to him. I felt pity for Izuku and watched as Izuku was comforted by Bakugo. "To get your mind off it, do you want to meet my family and aunt?" Bakugo asked. Izuku nodded and Bakugo smiled. Bakugo helped Izuku up, and I stood up also. Bakugo called someone he called Old Hag, and we waited by the big gates. Bakugo helped Izuku into the car before I hopped in. Izuku's puff. Rush hopped in before Bakugo hopped in also. "Hello, I'm Bakugo Masuki. Bakugo told you his aunt would be there, right?" she asked. I'm Izawa Izuku? Yes, he told me his aunt would be there, I said politely. His aunt isn't biological, but a good friend. Her husband left her after forcing her to abandon her child. She failed to give birth to a female. Misuki explained sadly. She has been trying to find her child for years, but can't find anything. Misuki said, pulling into a driveway. We got out of the car and Rush followed me. I followed the two into the house. We got inside and took our shoes off and walked into the living room. I'm almost done with dinner, someone yelled. I thought I told you I would make dinner. Misuki yelled. Fine, fine, the person said, walking out of the kitchen. The women glared at me. Hola, me llamo Midoriya Inko. She spoke in Spanish. Hola, me llamo Izawa Izuku. ¿Cómo está? I spoke back fluently. Inko, Izawa. Please speak a language we understand. Misuki exclaimed. Let's try that again. Hello, my name is Izawa Izuku. I greeted. My name is Midoriya Inko, she said sharply. I held out my hand to shake it, but she turned to Misuki. I noticed something about her. She had a green tail and ears. She had freckles like mine before a scar was embedded there. I looked over at her once more to see her observing me as well. Misuki cleared her throat, catching our attention. All right, you two. You look as if you are gonna fight. And your wolf friend doesn't help, she said, and I see him growling slightly. Nice to see you again, traitor, he growled. What? I asked. Nice to see you again fast. Or did you get your name changed during a blood moon? She snarled at him. My name is Rush, you lowly Omega. You not get what you want after what you did to every high power. With that traitor of an alpha. Rush snarled back. I looked back at the two in confusion. What is going on? I asked the two. Alpha, don't bother yourself with this lowly traitor of an Omega. She murdered her own for no reason to get the male that she wanted. Her was her mate, but she murdered other females just for looking at him. Rush said, standing in front of me. Oh, so this is the new Alpha. Wow, he looks weak and his secondary gender is Omega. She snarled at me. I growled slightly at her. I am sorry that you and Rush got into an argument, but I was polite to you only to receive disrespect. I stated angrily. Aunt Inko. Misuki, will you get the first aid kit? Katsuki, why would you let your friend bleed all over? She growled out madly. I didn't know he was. Weren't you people just fighting? Katsuki said as a knock came on the door. Misuki opened the door to show a man with ears, a mask, and a tail. Hizashi, Inko yelled. Hello, my mate. I have finally came back from America. The man labeled Hizashi said. What I wasn't expecting was to see the child we discarded. He snarled towards me. I tilted my head in confusion and my eyes narrowed. What do you mean, Hizashi? Inko asked. I felt someone pull me towards Hizashi. Rush pushed Hizashi out of the way. He pulled me outside before Hizashi grabbed my neck. Gas filled the room as I was thrown back into it. Hizashi kicked Rush and closed the door, smiling at us. His smirk grew as he watched me start to faint. Everyone passed out as I fought to stay awake. Hizashi came over and grabbed my neck before pressing a pressure point. Night, night, Izuku, he said mockingly, and all I saw was black. I woke up and opened my eyes. I slammed my eyes shut as light assaulted my eyes. I went to sit up, but I was restricted. I looked around to see Katsuki, Misuki, and Inko restrained as well by chains. There was a TV playing the news. It was talking about a missing person case before our faces were shown. A video of Hizashi grabbed my neck and throwing me back into the apartment from the apartment security camera. They then showed men in black outfits come and go into the apartment only to come out with us unconscious. You could Rush knocked out against the wall. A door opened, causing me to look towards it. Good morning, Izuku. You made things quite difficult, and getting to you was hard till you made my job easier. I didn't have to wait till you were home alone. You went closer to Inko so I could just grab you both. Now I have 2 hostages to use against you," he stated, walking over. "If only we didn't discard you, we would have found out you would be a great tool to use, even though Tamira already had you in possession and lost you," he said, petting my hair as I growled at him. He smiled and pulled my hair. "Don't growl at your father, or one of them gets it, hero," he mocked. I felt something enter my neck. My restraints loosened, but I didn't move even if he had my hair in his grip. He laughed and let my hair go. He walked to the center of the room and moved my legs slightly. He walked towards Katsuki, and I moved my arm slightly. "What I just gave you makes you listen to my commands, and you don't have any control over your body." He laughed out as Katsuki woke up. He grabbed a knife and turned around. I lunged and turned into my adult wolf form. I tackled him, growling at him. He growled back and stabbed my flank. He turned into a wolf as he ripped the knife from the wound. We fought and tore skin and fur off of each other. Mid-battle, my body started to change as I tore part of his ear off. My body grew larger, faster, and my fur color became brighter. Little did he know his eyes be red. We broke out of the fight for a second, and he laughed. "Ha! You're the alpha that is destined to beat any other pack's alpha." But they didn't say anything of our pack's previous alphas. "Let's test your newfound strength." He laughed out, and we went back into the fight. I pinned him down and slammed his head into the ground. I slammed it into the ground till he was unconscious. I got the keys to the chains and unlocked everyone's chains. Alarms started to go off as villains charged into the room. I turned into my new wolf form and got into a fighting position, snarling. The villains looked at me and froze. A portal opened under Hisashi and the villains. They left the door open when they charged in. I gathered Inko into my back on a wound, but needing to get her out. Katsuki grabbed Masuki, and we walked out of the room to see Hiro's searching rooms. I was picked up and Inko was taken off my back. I looked up to see Uncle All Might. I changed to my baby size, and he smiled at me. He carried me towards my father. He carefully placed me in my father's arms as paramedics came running towards us. I let my body return to human as my father carried me to an ambulance. I was placed down on the stretcher in the ambulance. My father sat with me as they got to work taking care of my wounds. "What happened?" he asked. "A guy named Hisashi showed up at the Bakugu residence and claimed that Miss Midoriya and him were my biological parents. Rush and I left the apartment, but he threw me back into the room. Gas filled the room and everyone but me passed out. I was lightheaded as he walked over to me and knocked me out. We woke up in that room with all us chained, and I fought him while you guys dealt with the other villains," I explained as I got really tired. As the paramedics finished patching me up, my father leaned me onto his shoulder. "Go ahead and sleep, my son. You deserve it." I let my eyes close, still leaning on his shoulder.